Y'all, pull up a chair, because Stefon Diggs' free agency just officially flatlined, and the real cause of death isn't his hamstring, it isn't his age, it isn't his cap number, baby, it's Cardi B's harem. I'm dead serious. The whole league passed on this man, and the front offices aren't whispering about his route tree, they're whispering about the roster of women he's allegedly juggling, the baby that dropped out of the sky, the model in the court documents, the pregnancy nobody saw coming, and the fact that this grown 32-year-old wide receiver turned himself into a walking, talking, designer bag-carrying public relations crisis. So today, we are not doing the safe version of this story. We are doing the version your sports anchor is too scared to say on camera. Tisa is in the building, and I have receipts, I have timelines, I have body language, I have unfollows, I have Bentleys, I have hospital rooms, and I have one very specific theory about why no team in this entire league wants to write a check with Stefon Diggs' name on it. Stay right where you are, because by the end of this video, you're going to be looking at the NFL completely differently, you're going to be looking at Cardi completely differently, and you're going to understand exactly why a man with Hall of Fame routes is sitting at home in June with no contract, no offer sheet, and no phone call from a single contender. Let's get into it. Okay, first thing first, let me set the table for everybody who has been off the internet or hiding under a rock. Stefon Diggs got released by the New England Patriots, which already, by itself, is wild, because he just signed there. He got a 3-year, $63.5 million contract in 2025, $16.8 million coming off the cap, and the second they pulled the trigger on letting him go, the football world expected the phone to start ringing. It did not ring. It did not vibrate. It did not even light up with a spam call from a Nigerian prince. Nothing. Crickets. 6 teams supposedly made sense, the Commanders, the Colts, the Rams, the Ravens, the Texans, you've heard the list 1,000 times, but every single one of them looked at him, looked at the situation, looked at the noise around him, and quietly said, no thank you, we're good, we're going to develop a rookie, we're going to ride with what we have, we're going to sign somebody nobody's heard of off a practice squad. And the sports media, bless their cowardly hearts, kept giving you the polite explanation. They said it's the age, he's 32. They said it's the knee, the ACL from 2024. They said it's the production drop, the route tree got smaller, the separation numbers went south. And listen, I'm not saying those things don't matter, they do, but if that was the whole story, somebody desperate at the trade deadline would have rolled the dice already. A contender always rolls the dice on talent. Always. So why didn't they? Because the dice in this situation aren't loaded with talent risk, they're loaded with locker room risk, and that's a completely different kind of math. Now, here's where Cardi enters the chat, and I need you to really listen to this part, because most people are not connecting the dots correctly. Cardi B and Stefon Diggs went public somewhere around the summer of 2025. It was cute at first. They were courtside, they were on the boat, they were doing the matching outfits, she was wearing his jersey, he was on her live, the internet was eating it up. Fine. But then almost immediately, the cracks started showing, and the cracks did not show in a normal way. They showed in court documents. They showed in maternity announcements that nobody asked for. They showed in a model named Lord Gisselle filing paperwork claiming Diggs fathered a 5-month-old baby girl while he was very visibly dating, posting, parading, and impregnating Cardi B. Let that sentence breathe for a second. A 5-month-old baby. Born in April. While he was already in a public relationship with one of the most famous women on planet Earth. While she was carrying his child. While the cameras were rolling. While the league had eyes on him. And Cardi, in her infinite Cardiness, took to the internet and went, y'all want me to leave my man, but y'all don't know my situation. Baby, we know your situation. The whole continent knows your situation. The situation is on TMZ, People magazine, and every single barbershop from the Bronx to Buffalo. So let's freeze right here and ask the question every general manager in the NFL is asking behind closed doors. If you're running a billion-dollar franchise, and you have one shot to spend cap space on a veteran wideout, are you signing the guy whose Instagram comments are full of paternity court filings? Are you signing the guy whose girlfriend is doing live cries on Twitter Spaces at 2 a.m.? Are you signing the guy who shows up to OTAs with 3 different baby mamas potentially on his phone, or are you signing literally anybody else? You're signing anybody else. That's not a football decision, that's a math decision. The math is, distraction equals losses, losses equal firings, firings equal you living in a smaller house in a worse neighborhood next year. Every front office is doing that calculation right now, and every single one of them keeps landing on the same answer. The juice is not worth the squeeze. The film is not worth the front page New York Post headline. And so the phone keeps not ringing. Hello, anybody there? Nope. Just the sound of Stefon refreshing his agent's email. But here's where it gets juicy, and here's where the unique angle of this video kicks in, because everybody else is telling you Cardi is the victim. Cardi is the wronged woman. Cardi got played. And I am here to tell you, lovingly, with my whole chest, that is not the full picture. That is the picture that goes viral on a daytime talk show. That is the picture that gets you sympathy points on a podcast. But the actual evidence, the actual timeline, the actual digital footprint, tells a much more interesting story, and the story is this. Cardi B is not a passenger in this harem. Cardi B is the captain of the ship. Cardi B knew. Cardi B has known. Cardi B made a calculated decision to stay, to procreate, and to publicly perform the role of devoted ride-or-die girlfriend while the entire roster of side women filtered through Stefon's DMs, his Postmates, his Uber Black, and his guest list at the Mondrian. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how I know that, beat by beat, receipt by receipt, because the breadcrumbs are not subtle. They are loud. They are obvious. And if you've been paying attention, you've already seen them yourself, you just didn't have somebody connect them in a straight line for you. That's what I'm here for. Welcome to the deep dive. Let's rewind. Summer 2025. Cardi files the final paperwork to divorce Offset. The ink isn't even dry. The court date isn't even closed. And within weeks, she's on a yacht with Stefon. Now look, I'm not a moral cop, you do what you want, but the speed of that transition tells me one thing. This was not love at first sight on a balcony at the Ritz. This was a setup. This was orchestrated. This was a managed move, probably introduced by mutual friends, probably negotiated through publicists, probably pre-approved by both teams of lawyers, because A-list celebrities of that magnitude do not just bump into each other at Whole Foods. They are introduced. They are vetted. And the vetting on Stefon Diggs, anybody who did even a 30-second background scan, would have flagged him as a known commodity in the model and influencer rotation game. He has been linked to multiple women publicly. He has a reputation in the league. Every wide receiver coach who has ever had to bench him knows about it. So when Cardi B said yes to this man, she did not say yes blind. She said yes with full eyes open, and the full eyes open part is what changes the entire narrative. Now here is the part where I'm going to say something problematic, and I'm going to apologize in advance, but somebody has to say it, so it might as well be me. Cardi B got pregnant on purpose. I said what I said. She got pregnant on purpose because she understood that in the celebrity ecosystem, the woman who carries the child is the woman who gets the long-term contract. The side women, the models, the Lord Gisselles of the world, they get a 5-month-old daughter and a court filing. The main woman, the one with the baby and the public posts and the matching tattoos, she gets the house, she gets the brand deal, she gets the cover of Vogue talking about her quote-unquote blended family. This is not new. This is the playbook every smart woman in the entertainment industry has been running for the last 40 years. Cardi did not invent it. Cardi just ran it cleaner than anybody we've seen in a generation. And the proof is right there in her response. Y'all want me to leave my man and the situation, like the situation is something that happened to her. The situation is not something that happened to her. The situation is something she walked into eyes open, signed up for, and is now actively managing. And that, my friends, is what the NFL front offices are actually scared of. They are not scared of Stefon Diggs the football player. They are scared of the Cardi B ecosystem. Because when you sign Stefon Diggs, you are not signing one man, you are signing the entire production. You are signing the pregnant pop star who will post on Instagram every time you have a bad game. You are signing the side baby that the tabloids will dig up the second you have a good game. You are signing the divorce drama with Offset that is going to spill into your locker room when Cardi gets in her feelings on a Tuesday night. You are signing the BBL surgeons. You are signing the doulas. You are signing the bodyguards. You are signing the entire reality show, and your owner does not want a reality show. Your owner wants Sunday Night Football ratings, not Real Housewives ratings. So they pass. They pass quietly. They pass professionally. They pass with a polite, "We've decided to go in a different direction," and Stefon is left looking at his agent like, "Bro, where's my offer?" And the receipts keep mounting. Look at the timeline. The baby with Lord Gisselle is allegedly born in April. April of what year? We're being careful, but let's just say recent enough that Cardi was already publicly attached to Stefon. So you do the math. He was procreating with the model while he was procreating with Cardi. Which means he was lying to one of them. Which means one of them, at minimum, found out at some point. Which means the energy in that house is, to put it mildly, electric. And when 50 Cent caught wind of it and started trolling on Instagram, when the breakup rumors hit the LA Times in February, when Cardi wiped his name off her profile, when the reconciliation rumors hit People magazine, when the courtside appearances came back, when the boat trip happened again, when the matching jewelry came back, the league watched the whole thing. They watched the whole soap opera in 4K. They watched a grown man's life turn into a TMZ recurring segment. And they decided collectively, this is not the locker room we want to build around. This is not the wideout we want our rookie quarterback learning from. This is not the energy we want at a Wednesday team meeting. So nope. Pass. Next. And listen, before y'all come for me in the comments, I am not saying Stefon Diggs is a bad person. I am not saying he can't ball. The man has put up Hall of Fame numbers when he's been healthy. 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, that's a Pro Bowler in any other era. I'm not denying any of that. What I am saying is that the modern NFL has changed. The locker room has changed. The salary cap has changed. The amount of money a single distraction can cost a franchise has changed. We are not in the 2010s anymore where you could be a complete circus off the field and the team would shrug and say, well, he can play. Now the front office has to answer to ownership, ownership has to answer to sponsors, sponsors have to answer to shareholders, and shareholders read TMZ. They read People. They read Page 6. They see the headlines. They see the paternity filings. They see the live streams. And they call up the GM and they say, find me a different wide receiver. So the GM finds a different wide receiver. And Stefon stays home. Let's talk about the harem itself for a second, because I want to be really specific about what we're actually dealing with. When I use the word harem, I'm not using it to be cute, I'm using it because it is the most accurate description of the rotation. You have Cardi as the main, you have Lord Gisselle as the documented mother of his other child, you have the multiple model rumors that have floated through TMZ and the Daily Mail since 2022, you have the Meghan-adjacent gossip ecosystem that has been clocking him for years, you have unconfirmed but persistent whispers about WNBA-adjacent women, you have a former girlfriend who allegedly kept receipts in a literal composition book, and you have the constant rotation of women who appear in the background of his Instagram stories and then mysteriously disappear 2 weeks later. This is not one man with one girlfriend who slipped up once. This is a system. This is an organized, ongoing, calendar-managed operation. And when you operate at that scale, you cannot also be a professional athlete in a contract year. The math does not work. The hours in the day do not add up. The cap on human energy does not stretch that far. So either the football suffers, or the harem suffers, and we already know which one he chose, because the football has been suffering for 2 straight seasons. Now I want to pause for a second and walk y'all through what a normal Tuesday in Stefon's life actually looks like, because I don't think people understand the logistics. Wake up at 9. Check 3 different phones, because one is for Cardi, one is for the side rotation, and one is for his agent and his cousins. Open the first phone, 6 missed calls from Cardi, 2 voice notes that are 11 minutes long, 1 screenshot of a comment some girl left on his Instagram 3 months ago that Cardi is just now seeing because the algorithm dragged it back up. Open the second phone, 3 different women asking when he's coming through, one of them sending a sonogram emoji that may or may not be a joke, one of them asking for the Birkin he promised in March. Open the third phone, his agent saying, brother, please, I am begging you, do not post anything today. Please. I am on the phone with 3 teams right now. Just sit in your house and do absolutely nothing for 24 hours. Can you do that for me? And of course he cannot do that, because by noon, he's already on Instagram Live, by 2 p.m., he's at a strip club for somebody's birthday, by 4, there's a picture of him with a woman who is not Cardi circulating on Twitter, and by 6, Cardi is on her own live, crying, calling him names, screaming at her assistant in the background. Every single day. Every single day. That is the rhythm of his life right now. And no NFL team in their right mind is going to drop $20 million into the middle of that hurricane. Now here is the truly diabolical twist, the part that nobody on YouTube is brave enough to say. The harem is not just costing him the football, the harem is also the reason Cardi stays. Because Cardi, in her own twisted, brilliant, hustle-brained way, understands that as long as the side women keep getting exposed, as long as the paternity suits keep dropping, as long as the chaos keeps swirling, she gets to be the one who never has to compete on attraction alone. The chaos is the moat. The chaos protects her position. Because every time a new side baby gets revealed, every time a new model files a suit, every time a new rumor drops, the entire internet rallies around Cardi as the wronged woman, the queen, the survivor, the one who deserves better. And that public sympathy is worth more than gold in her industry. That public sympathy is what gets her the magazine cover, the Pepsi commercial, the Vogue feature, the talk show appearance, the Tonight Show monologue where Fallon asks her about it and she gets to do the brave little face and talk about strength and motherhood. The harem feeds her brand. Without the harem, she's just another rapper. With the harem, she's a martyr icon survivor businesswoman mother of multiple, which is a much more sellable product. I told y'all this was going to get dark. Stay with me. Meanwhile, Stefon is sitting in his Maryland mansion, refreshing his email, watching his market value disintegrate in real time, and I can almost guarantee you he has not had the self-awareness moment yet. He has not sat down on the edge of his bed at 3 a.m. and gone, oh my god, the woman is the problem, the lifestyle is the problem, I am the problem. Because men in his position rarely have that moment. They blame the agent. They blame the front office. They blame the media. They blame the ACL. They blame the offensive coordinator from 3 teams ago. They blame everybody except the mirror. And until he has the mirror conversation, no team is going to take a chance on him, because every team can smell that lack of self-awareness from a mile away. Coaches can smell it. Quarterbacks can smell it. Veterans in the locker room can smell it. And nobody wants to spend their season babysitting a guy who can't figure out why his life is on fire. And I'm going to tell you something else nobody wants to admit. Cardi B knows he's not going to figure it out. Cardi B is counting on it. Because the moment Stefon develops self-awareness, the moment he sees the pattern, the moment he wakes up, he leaves. And she cannot have that. Her entire next album cycle, her entire next reality show pitch, her entire next People magazine cover story is built on the premise that she is the long-suffering loyal woman standing by her flawed man. Take the flawed man away, and the narrative collapses. So she keeps him close. She keeps him confused. She keeps him publicly attached. She keeps him on her Instagram, in her stories, at her birthday parties, at her family Thanksgiving, at her doctor's appointments. She keeps him in the visual rotation, because as long as he's in the visual rotation, she controls the narrative. And as long as she controls the narrative, the money keeps flowing. And as long as the money keeps flowing, she doesn't care that no NFL team will sign her boyfriend. She might actually prefer it. A boyfriend with no team is a boyfriend who is home full-time. A boyfriend who is home full-time is a boyfriend she can monitor. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Are y'all seeing the architecture? This is not love. This is asset management. Now let me bring it back to the football, because some of you watching are real sports fans and you want the X's and O's. The truth is, Stefon Diggs, on paper, in a vacuum, could still help 6 different teams right now. He could go to Indianapolis and be a veteran presence for a young quarterback. He could go to Washington and stretch the field opposite McLaurin. He could go to Houston and be the third option behind Nico and Tank. He could go to Baltimore and finally play with Lamar. He could go to Los Angeles and run smoke routes for Stafford. He could go to Kansas City and be the deep threat Patrick has been begging for. On talent alone, the fit is there in half a dozen cities. But talent alone has never been the only variable. Locker room fit matters. Marketing fit matters. Sponsor fit matters. And every single one of those organizations did the spreadsheet and the spreadsheet said no. They said no because they have seen what happens when a team signs a guy whose personal life is a media wildfire. They have seen the Antonio Brown cautionary tale. They have seen the Odell Beckham cautionary tale. They have seen the OBJ meets the Browns disaster. They are not signing up to be the next chapter in that book. And let me tell you a little secret about NFL front offices, because people don't talk about this enough. The decision makers in those buildings are extremely conservative, extremely risk-averse, and extremely afraid of looking stupid. They would rather sign a boring, average wideout who runs a 4.55 and never makes the news than a Pro Bowl talent who is going to put their face on a Pat McAfee segment for 2 weeks straight. The boring wideout doesn't get the GM fired. The boring wideout doesn't get the head coach a phone call from ownership. The boring wideout doesn't bring a TMZ camera crew into the parking lot of the practice facility. So they keep signing the boring wideout. They keep developing the 4th-round pick. They keep extending the slot guy. And Stefon, with all his talent, with all his route tree, with all his ability, is left on the outside looking in, because he has become the unbearing wideout, and unbearing is now a 4-letter word in the league office. Let's go even deeper, because I promised you 15 layers of analysis. Layer 1 is the football. Layer 2 is the personal life. Layer 3 is the Cardi factor. Layer 4 is the harem. Layer 5 is the brand math. And Layer 6 is the part 1 haven't even gotten to yet, which is the legal exposure. Because here is what nobody is reporting. When Lord Gisselle filed those court documents, she opened a door. And once that door is open, lawyers walk through it. Discovery happens. Depositions happen. Bank records get subpoenaed. Phone records get pulled. And every single thing Stefon has been doing for the last 3 years is potentially on the table to be made part of the public record. Imagine you are an NFL owner. Imagine you sign this man to a $20 million contract. Imagine, 6 months later, his deposition gets leaked. Imagine the transcripts of his text messages become public. Imagine your franchise, your billion-dollar franchise, is now associated with whatever those transcripts contain. You cannot risk that. You will not risk that. So you don't sign the man. You don't even meet with the man. You just let his agent's voicemail box fill up, and you sleep peacefully at night. Layer 7 is the insurance angle, which sounds boring but is actually one of the most important pieces of this whole puzzle. Every veteran contract in the NFL has insurance attached to it. The team buys a policy in case the player gets hurt, in case the player gets suspended, in case the player gets cut for cause. And when the underwriters look at a guy like Stefon, with the legal exposure, with the lifestyle, with the constant TMZ presence, the premiums skyrocket. We are talking about a 6 or 7-figure jump in what it costs the team just to put him on the payroll. So now you are not just paying him $20 million in salary, you are paying another $2 or $3 million in insurance on top of that, and suddenly your effective cap hit is 23, not 20, and at $23 million, you can sign a younger, healthier, less dramatic option. Insurance underwriters do not care about your fantasy football team. Insurance underwriters care about probability. And the probability of Stefon Diggs creating a claim event in 2026 is, statistically, through the roof. So the underwriters jack the rate, the cap hit goes up, the team backs out, and the cycle continues. Layer 8 is the agent angle, and I cannot believe nobody is talking about this either. Stefon's representation has been on damage control mode for the better part of a year now. Every agent in this league has a quiet conversation with their player at some point that goes, look, the lifestyle is costing us money, you need to chill, you need to lay low, you need to delete Instagram for 6 months, you need to break up with the girlfriend who is wearing your jersey courtside at every game, because that is killing the negotiation. And I would be willing to bet my entire studio that Stefon has had that exact conversation with his agent at least 3 times this year. And I would be willing to bet he ignored it. Because the lifestyle is the lifestyle. The harem is the harem. The Bentley is in the driveway. The chef is in the kitchen. The trainer is in the gym. The publicist is on the phone. And asking him to give that up cold turkey is like asking somebody to stop breathing. So the agent throws up his hands. The agent stops calling. The agent goes and recruits a younger client who actually listens. And Stefon is left with a phone that does not ring, and a calendar that does not fill up, and a bank account that, while still very full, is slowly draining as the lifestyle continues to charge against the principal with no new income coming in to replace it. Layer 9 is the locker room veteran council angle. Every NFL locker room has a small group of older players, usually the captains, usually the quarterback and 1 or 2 linemen and a safety, who quietly run the room. The coach pretends he runs the room, but he does not, the captains run the room. And before any team signs a major free agent, the GM has a conversation with that captain group. The GM walks in, sits down, and says, "What do y'all think about so-and-so?" And the captains say yes, or the captains say no. If the captains say no, that signing is dead, no matter what the salary cap says, no matter what the analytics say, no matter what the fans on Twitter are screaming. And right now, in every locker room in the NFL, the captains are saying no on Stefon Diggs. Because the captains do not want the drama. The captains do not want the media circus. The captains do not want to spend their Sunday answering reporter questions about somebody else's girlfriend's Instagram post. The captains want to win football games and go home to their actual families. So the captains say no, the GM listens, the contract dies in the back room before it ever gets drafted, and Stefon never even knows the conversation happened. Layer 10, and this is the one that hits the hardest, is the legacy angle. But before I get to layer 10, let me give you layer 9.5, because this one snuck up on me while I was writing this video and I almost left it out. Layer 9.5 is the quarterback angle. Every single elite quarterback in this league, the Mahomes guys, the Allen guys, the Burrow guys, the Lamar guys, they all have a non-negotiable rule about who they want in their huddle, and that rule is, no drama. They will say it nicely in the press conference, but in private, they say it loud. They have lost too many seasons to off-field nonsense, they have watched too many of their friends get traded because the locker room imploded over a teammate's outside the building issues, and they have learned the hard way that the wide receiver you bring in has to fit the culture or the culture eats him alive. Patrick Mahomes is not picking up the phone for Stefon Diggs. Josh Allen is not lobbying his GM for Stefon Diggs. Joe Burrow is not slipping his coach a note that says, "Hey, get me this guy." And without the quarterback in your corner, the signing simply does not happen. The modern NFL is a quarterback-driven league, the quarterback has more power than the head coach, and right now, not a single franchise quarterback in football is using that power to advocate for Stefon. That silence from the quarterbacks is, in some ways, louder than the silence from the GMs. Because the GMs are paid to be careful. The quarterbacks are not. The quarterbacks talk. And the quarterbacks are not talking. Which tells you everything you need to know. Layer 10, and this is the one that hits the hardest, is the legacy angle. Stefon Diggs, despite everything, has a real shot at the Hall of Fame if he can string together 2 more healthy seasons. 2 more. 1,200 yards each. A playoff run with a contender. He is in. That is the difference between him being a Hall of Famer and him being a footnote. And the harem is costing him that. The harem is taking those 2 seasons away from him in real time. Every month he sits at home is a month his body decays a little bit, his hands lose a little bit of stickiness, his routes lose a little bit of crispness, and the window closes a little bit more. And nobody around him is telling him this. Not Cardi. Not the agent. Not the cousins. Not the trainer. Nobody. They are all happy to keep cashing the check until the check stops coming, and then they will all disappear, and Stefon will wake up at 34 and realize the Hall of Fame is gone, and he will not be able to point to a single person in his orbit who tried to warn him. Except this video. Except Tisa. I am the only one telling him the truth, and he is not even going to watch it. And Cardi knows this too. Cardi knows that the legal exposure is part of why he can't get signed. Which is why she stays so close. Because if he loses the football, she becomes the income. She becomes the primary breadwinner. She becomes the one with the leverage. She becomes the one who decides if he eats. And in a relationship, when one person decides if the other person eats, that's not a partnership, that's a hostage situation with better lighting. So she keeps him broke adjacent. She keeps him dependent. She keeps him in the gilded cage of her Manhattan apartment, with the chef, and the nanny, and the assistant, and the personal trainer, and the lifestyle that he could never afford on his own without a football contract. And every day he wakes up in that apartment is another day she wins. Another day his market value drops. Another day his self-esteem chips. Another day the harem gets quieter, because the harem doesn't want to date a man without a team. The harem wants a starting wide receiver. The harem does not want a former wide receiver. So the harem evaporates, and he is left with only her. Which is exactly where she wanted him from day one. I know this video is heavy. I know I'm coming at this with the full Tisa energy and not letting up. But I need you to understand that this is not a story about football. This is a story about power. This is a story about how the modern celebrity ecosystem turns talented men into asset classes, and how the smartest women in that ecosystem learn to acquire, manage, and monetize those assets the same way a hedge fund manages stocks. Cardi is not the victim. Cardi is the portfolio manager. The harem is not the cause of his free agency death, the harem is the symptom. The cause is that he never developed the spine to walk away, the brain to plan ahead, or the team around him to protect him from the version of himself that makes those decisions. And until he does, the phone is not going to ring. The offers are not going to come. The team is not going to sign him. He is going to keep watching training camps on TV from the couch of an apartment he doesn't pay rent on, and the football world is going to keep moving without him. Let me give you the prediction nobody else will give you. Here is what I think happens in the next 90 days. Either A, Stefon takes a 1-year, prove-it deal with a bad team for the veteran minimum, with no guaranteed money, and tries to play himself back into relevance, in which case Cardi spins it as a comeback story and gets a Netflix documentary out of it. Or B, he doesn't get a deal at all, he announces he's quote-unquote stepping back to focus on family, and within 18 months he and Cardi are starring in a reality show together about the blended family life, with cameos from every baby mama who is willing to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Or C, the dark horse option, the legal exposure expands, the discovery process gets ugly, and we find out things about the harem that nobody is currently prepared to hear, things that end the relationship with Cardi, things that end his career entirely, things that make this entire video look like a polite preview of what was actually going on. I'm telling you right now, the third option is the one I'm watching most closely, because the cracks are showing. So what do you do with all this information? What do you do as a viewer at home? First, you understand that the sports media is not telling you the full story, they are telling you the polite story, the safe story, the story that doesn't get them sued. The full story lives on YouTube channels like this one, where we can actually say the quiet part out loud. Second, you understand that the harem dynamic is not unique to Stefon, it is happening to every star in every league right now, and you need to start watching for it. Third, you understand that the wronged woman narrative is not always what it looks like, and that sometimes the wronged woman is the architect of the wronging, and the only way to see it is to zoom out and look at the timeline. Fourth, you understand that NFL teams are not just signing players, they are signing entire ecosystems, and the ecosystem is now bigger than the player. Fifth, you understand that this is the new normal, and we are not going back. Now I want to hear from you, because this is the part where I let you talk back. Do you think Stefon Diggs gets signed before training camp? Do you think Cardi is the puppet master or the patsy? Do you think the harem is the cause or the symptom? Do you think Lord Gisselle is going to give an interview? Do you think there are more women who haven't come forward yet? Do you think Stefon ever has the mirror conversation, or does he go to his grave blaming the ACL? Drop your honest answer in the comments, because I read every single one, and I am not afraid to pin the spiciest take of the day. Y'all know how I get down. The hotter the take, the higher up the comment goes. And listen, before I let you go, I have to say one more thing about Cardi specifically, because I don't want anybody walking away from this video thinking I hate her. I don't. I actually have a tremendous amount of respect for Cardi B as a businesswoman. She came from the strip club. She came from love and hip-hop. She came from nothing, and she built an empire. And the playbook she is running right now with Stefon is, from a pure cold-blooded business perspective, a masterclass. She has identified an asset, she has acquired the asset, she has protected the asset from competing acquisitions, and she is now positioning herself to maximize the long-term return on the asset. If she were a man, we would be writing case studies about her. We would have HBO documentaries about her. We would put her on the cover of Forbes. But because she is a woman, and because we are still uncomfortable as a culture with women who play the game at her level, we call her a victim. We call her a fool. We call her dramatic. We do everything except give her the credit she actually deserves. So let me be the first to say it on YouTube. Cardi B is not a victim. Cardi B is a CEO. And the CEO does not lose sleep over Lord Gisselle. The CEO sends Lord Gisselle a settlement check and moves on to the next quarter. But Stefon. Oh, Stefon. My guy. If you are watching this video, and let's be honest, somebody on your team is going to send it to you, because that's how this works, I want you to do one thing for me. Sit down. Get a piece of paper. Write down every single woman you have been linked to in the last 3 years. Write down every single trip. Every single hotel. Every single Postmates order to an address that wasn't yours. Look at that list. Really look at it. And ask yourself, is this the life of a man who is on a Hall of Fame trajectory, or is this the life of a man who is about to age out of the league with no ring, no contract, and no respect? Because the answer is right there on the paper, and the longer you avoid the paper, the further away the contract gets. The league is not coming back to you. You have to come back to the league. And the only way back is through that mirror you have been avoiding for the last 3 years. I'm going to wrap this up, because I have said what I came to say, and I always promise y'all I'm not going to waste your time. The bottom line is this. Stefon Diggs' free agency is not dying because of his age. It is not dying because of his knee. It is not dying because of his hands or his routes or his attitude in the locker room. It is dying because every team in the NFL has looked at the situation and concluded that the man comes with too much luggage, and the luggage is labeled Cardi B's harem. That is the truth. That is the receipts. That is the timeline. And anybody telling you otherwise is selling you the polite version that does not get them in trouble with their corporate sponsors. I am not corporately sponsored. I do not have a publicist. I do not have a lawyer at Time Warner telling me what I can and cannot say. So I am going to keep telling you the real story, and you are going to keep coming back, and we are going to keep building this community of people who actually want the truth instead of the press release. So let me know in the comments, do you think I am right or do you think I am crazy? Do you think Cardi is the architect or the accident? Do you think Stefon gets a deal or do you think he is done? Do you think the harem implodes by the end of the year or do you think it survives? And while you are down there, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, because I am dropping a follow-up to this video the second Lord Gisselle's lawyer files the next motion, and trust me, that motion is coming, because that lawyer is hungry, and a hungry lawyer in a paternity case is the most dangerous force in modern celebrity culture. And one last thing before I go, because I know somebody is going to be in the comments swearing up and down that I am being unfair to Stefon, that I am piling on, that I am punching down on a man who is just out here living his life. So let me say this plain. I am not punching down. I am punching up. Stefon Diggs has made more money than most of us will see in 3 lifetimes, he has lawyers and agents and trainers and publicists most people will never meet, and if he cannot use those to get his life in order, that is on him. The whole point of having the resources is to use them to make better decisions. And right now, he is using 0 of those resources, and the decisions are getting worse by the week, and the consequences are landing exactly where consequences land when you ignore them for too long. So no, I do not feel bad. I feel honest. And honest is what this channel has always been about. I will see you in the next one. Tisa is out. Bye, y'all.